And good evening and welcome to Out of the Bag. This is Sean Maguire live on People's Internet Radio. That's www.peoplesinternetradio.com, where we are seeking solutions. And I have quite a show for you tonight. Welcome to People's Internet Radio, everyone listening out on their Facebook players, on my site, and on various other sites around the planet. I'm really excited to have on tonight, under pretty dire circumstances, really, the wonderful and great Max Igan, who I will be bringing on the show very, very soon. And then later on in the show, I will be having Sorrel May Florence, a bardess, a poetess, an author, an artist, an alchemist, a multi-instrumentalist. Oh my gosh, many things we can talk about, but hopefully we'll be hearing some of her music, and that's really what we're going to have a bit of a chill time after the heavy subject we're going to be covering with the wonderful and brilliant Max Igan. And I'd like to introduce Max right now to the show if he is with me. Max, are you there?
I certainly am, Sean. Thanks for having me on, brother.
You are more than welcome to come on, and I know that this is 6 a.m. in the morning, and if it wasn't for your insomniac with the I suppose trauma of going through what's going on, with the massive trauma that's happening in that poor old place, Palestine, yeah?
Yeah, it's been very difficult to get sleep in the last week or two with what's going on in Gaza. I got a good solid 4 hours last night, which was very good for me, actually. Best I've had in about a week. So, yeah, it's
Oh,
just
I'm really glad you did, because I've actually been, my show's every Wednesday, Max, and I know you put out a Skype message to probably most, if not all, of your contacts, telling them what was going on and all the rest of it. And I've already heard that you've been on a couple of other shows, and it's been an emotional roller coaster, because obviously this is something that should make everyone angry. It should make everyone incredibly sad that we as a species are allowing this to happen on our planet. And it's I know that you've been on this roller coaster ride, and you have much more connections than most people. We see it on the internet, we share the information, but you, Max, you've been there, you've met the people. You're on the show, really, and others as well, to give your views, to give your side of it, and to enlighten the people who think that Palestinians are scum and should be got rid of off the face of this earth. For some strange reason, this is the propaganda that people tend to believe.
well, and it's all propaganda. People just believe the lies they're fed by the media. I've been there, and everything that they tell you is a complete crock. It really is. These are beautiful people. Israel's a terrorist state. Israel's been carrying out ethnic cleansing and genocide against these people for 60 years. And if you just got to look at the maps, look at the map of Israel when it was created, and look at the map of Israel now, and have a look at how much land they've stolen. And then ask yourself whether they've stolen this land for self-defense. And then ask yourself what happened to the people who used to live on that land. There are currently about 7 million displaced Palestinians. Israelis tell you that there are no Palestinians. There is no Palestine. They say there never was Palestine. Palestine was there, but it wasn't really a country, and nobody actually lived there. Well, how come there's 7 million displaced people? And Israelis say, oh, they're just Arabs that were hanging out in the country. What Arabs that were hanging out in the country? What country? Well, Palestine, but they weren't Palestinians. How does that work out? Of course they were Palestinians. They're hanging out in Palestine. They're living in Palestine. Of course they were Palestinians. I mean, it's unbelievable, mate. It's unbelievable. And what we're being fed by the media is just absolutely disgraceful. They're just going in and carrying out wholesale slaughter against unarmed people. Palestine, Gaza is a refugee camp. It's not a hotbed of terrorists. It's a refugee camp with a wall around three sides of the country, and an ocean on the other side with gunboats in it, which stops them using the ocean. I mean, it's ridiculous. And Israel just goes in and carries out wholesale slaughter against these people while crying victim. Benjamin Netanyahu is the world's biggest terrorist. He's a mass murderer. He's a genocidal maniac. And any government that is supporting the Israeli government in this incursion into Gaza is a supporter of terrorism. You people out there listening to this in Ireland, in England, in Scotland, in Wales, in Germany, in France, in Australia, in any country that is financing this genocide and terrorism being meted out by the rogue terrorist state of Israel. Any government that is supporting it is a government that supports terrorism, and it's time the people of this world stood up and removed these psychopaths from power and threw them down the toilet where they belong. That's what we need to do. It's time. We've got to take the gloves off. We've got to stand up, call a spade, stop being politically correct, call it for what it is. It's terrorism, genocide and murder. It's been carried out by a bunch of religious supremacist genocidal maniacs that are bred to be sociopaths, and you can tell this by the fact that they're sitting there eating popcorn on their cars while they're watching babies being blown up. You've got Benjamin Satan Yahoo coming on TV and saying, oh, there's 5 million Israelis cowering in bunkers scared of Hamas rockets. What a load of bullshit. Benjamin Netanyahu, if you're listening, you are a barefaced liar. I am accusing you of being a barefaced liar, a mass murderer, and a genocidal maniac, and I'd like to meet you so I could stick my fist in your face. That's how I feel about it at the moment, mate.
No, Max, I thought you were a peaceful man.
I am a peaceful man, so I'd like to rip Benjamin Netanyahu's head off and beat him to death with it, because that would bring about world peace. That's how I feel, mate. I'm so angry and I'm so disgusted at the apathy of this human race. Where is the outrage over this issue? People are being murdered by terrorists, and we've got a controlled, corrupt media saying it's all good. And not only that, they're showing pictures of blown up Gaza, and they're telling us it's Israel. These
misinformation.
These journalists, these are liars, mate. These journalists are committing war crimes by even doing that. All of them should be removed. CNN, you can put them with the governments. Let's pull these organisations down and put them in jail for war crimes as well. I'm sick of it, mate. We got to draw a line in the sand, and these guys have stepped well over it, and it's time we stood up and brought this world back to where it should be. We're going to rein these rogue terrorist governments in, and all of our governments are supporting terrorism. The Queen of England, you're a terrorist. You're supporting terrorism by supporting Israel. Any government that supports Israel is a terrorist government, and I don't give a shit what type of trouble I get into saying so, because it's true.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, they are criminals, supporting total psychopathy and ethnic cleansing globally. Look, people were saying to me, Sean, now I know this is sort of, I'm throwing a curveball in here, Max. Maybe you haven't heard this one. I don't know. But people were saying to me, Sean, there was the World Cup and Wimbledon, and then they had the paedophile issues and all the rest of it, and all that was taking people's minds off. They were being distracted away from what was happening in Gaza, okay, in Palestine. That's what was happening. And I'm saying, but you know what, you could take it a step further and say what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in the Ukraine, what's happening in many, many other places are actually distractions to the fact that these fucking elites seem to want to cull the planet of 6+ billion people, and they're doing this via food and water and all sorts of things globally, and they're just showing what they're really like, psychopath wise, by this absolute blatant deception and war on a country that's diminishing in size as they push the bloody borders closer and closer together and stick them in a more of a concentration camp than they're already in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's happening everywhere. It's happening in Nigeria as well. I mean, look what they're doing in Nigeria. Look what Africa is in an incredibly bad state. It always has been. You know, you thank England for that. You know, we've done well with Africa. We've completely destroyed that country. But the problem with Palestine is they've got a wall around these people. These people are locked in, bricked into a wall. They're locked in a prison, open air prison. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. And all Israel has to do, they can blow up anybody they want. All they've got to do is say, oh, it's a terrorist. That's all they've got to do. You know, this whole thing started over 3 teenagers that were killed in the West Bank. A week before that, there were 3 teenagers machine gunned on a checkpoint by Israeli guards. 3 Palestinian teenagers machine gunned by Israeli guards. Why didn't we hear about that on the news? Where was the outrage? Where was the outcry about these 3 teenagers who were brutally machine gunned by terrorist Israelis? Nobody even mentioned it. Didn't even make the frickin' news.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And yet we have three Israeli teenagers, which the Israeli government knew had been kidnapped, knew were dead, knew the people who kidnapped them were speaking Hebrew, wasn't proven it was even done by Hamas. They blow it up for 10 days into a racial frenzy and go and attack another country, go and attack a refugee camp because of it, and yet they're allowed to kill any Palestinian kids they want to. Fuck Israel. It's a terrorist state. We've got to bring this criminal government down. I'm sick to death of it, Sean. You know?
Good man, and you're dead right, and well said, and on all the other shows that you've been on, and you've been absolutely fantastic and spot on. I mean, have you heard of this ultra-nationalist Jewish home party?
Some other terrorist organisation, mate. They're a terrorist organisation. If they're a Jewish home party, then they're a terrorist organisation supporting genocide. Fuck them.
Yeah, well, this
I'm over it. The gloves have come off with me, Sean. 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty pissed off. I've been away for bloody weeks over this, and I'm not being nice about this anymore. I'm not being politically correct. I'm not using soft language. I'm going to call a spade for what it is. And any of these Jewish organisations that are supporting Israel, you're supporting terrorism. Pull your head out of your ass and wake up to yourself.
Boulabus, what can I do but clap what you've just said? Look, how do we, if the mainstream media is not reporting, in fact, they're not just not reporting, as you said, they're showing Gaza being bombed and saying it's fucking Israel, and that's obvious, and those people should be arrested, putting the news out. So where do we start with pointing the finger? How do we get the word out to people? Is it the alternative media, the internet, is the only way we can do this?
Well, it's the best way we've got at the moment. Best way, leaflets, get out on the street with a megaphone if you have to. Just spread information and be brutally honest in what you do and call these people what they are. Don't say, oh, these people are not reporting the right news. And you just say, you're a liar. These people are liars. CNN is an organisation full of liars that spreads disinformation. That's its purpose.
Well, look, I tell you what, let's have another rant in a bit. But why don't you tell us a little bit about, your dealings with the Palestinian people? Because they are being portrayed as terrorists. I mean, this politician in Israel saying that, the reason that they're bombing civilian areas is because she genuinely believes, she's gone public saying it, that all mothers of Palestinians should be killed.
Yeah,
Because
this is the type of mentality that they instill into them, Sean. Yeah, they breed little snakes. Yeah. This is what I mean. This is the Israeli education system. It's a sociopathic education system. That's why it's very hard to blame the Israeli people for what they do, because they're programmed to be sociopathic racial supremacists. That's what the education system is. You got little kids signing bombs with love from Israel. You know what I mean?
And I saw that, could not believe it. I mean, no person, no baby, no child in their right mind would.
You wouldn't even think of it. Yeah, exactly. How did it get into their mind? Where would you even think of something like that? Because you've been trained to think that way. This is what the Israeli education system does. It breeds a sociopathic supremacist society, and that's what they do. You go to Israel, and these people are the rudest, most arrogant, most self-absorbed, arrogant people. They are rude, arrogant. They don't give a damn about anybody. They're just rude to you. You go to Palestine, and these people just want to help you. They want to have a cup of tea with you. They're the loveliest people you've ever met. There's a lot of good people in Israel that don't agree with what's happening too. There's a lot of good Jews in Israel. But the Khazars that run the place are just massacring everybody they can, and the actual Jews get the blame for it, But the Palestinian people are beautiful people, Sean. They are beautiful people, and they're trapped in a living hell, and no one listens. And Israel can just take pot shots at anyone it wants and just go, oh, terrorist. It was a terrorist. Sorry about the 200 children I blew up, but there was a terrorist hiding behind the bush. That's all they have to do. There's some guy driving down the Esplanade anyway. They missiled his car. Oh, he's a terrorist. It wasn't. He was just a guy driving down the Esplanade. Oh, there's a car. Let's blow that up. That'll be nice for the locals. Give them a thrill, That's the way they think. They don't care.
I tell you what, something that you did that really, really hit home to a lot of people when I shared it, okay? And that was when a lot of people were showing really, really, like, I can't look at them, dodgy pictures of children's heads being blown off and all sorts of stuff, and blood everywhere. Now, that turns a lot of people away from even the issue, okay? The cognitive dissonance kicks in and they just say, no, I don't want to know that. I want to live my life, blah, blah, blah. I'm out of it, right? And that's a terrible result. When really they should be looking at those, be so shocked that we might act to stop it from ever happening. But you put out a list of the dead, their names, their ages, the days they died, since those 3 kidnapped Israelis. And I can honestly say the impact that had on personal friends who messaged me and said they were in tears just reading the names, reading the ages, etc. That was really powerful.
Yeah, well, people need to know that. That all these people were murdered. All these people were murdered by Benjamin Netanyahu and his terrorist forces in revenge for a killing that was never proven to have been done by them. And even if it was done by a Palestinian, it was carried out in Hebron and had nothing to do with the people in Gaza Strip. Yeah. People in Gaza Strip are refugees living in the world's biggest open-air prison. They're mostly children. Even if Israel has a problem with Hamas is but a few hundred people. Gaza Strip is 1.8 million people packed in an area 25 miles long and 5 miles wide, and they've dropped 400 tons of bombs on these people. The water system in Gaza is about to collapse. These people are going to be without water in the next couple of days. We're just going to let them starve and dehydrate to death. What are we going to do? Why are we allowing this human tragedy to just unfold before us? Because we're sitting here saying we've got to support God's chosen people in their obliteration of the rest of the world. They're not God's chosen people. They're the synagogue of Satan. That's what they are. And Benjamin Netanyahu's out there sucking Satan's cock every night.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you are. There you have it, everyone out in people's internet radio land. Max he's got the gloves off. He's not pulling any punches, are you, Max, tonight?
No, I'm not pulling any punches. The role of my life from now on is to destroy the governments of the world because they are criminals. I will not have the country, the world run by criminals. We want some honest governments. If we're going to have government at all, we'll have something honest. And these criminal scumbags that we got in place now, well, they're not honest. And if you think they are, I give you the world as an example. Look at the war on this world. Look at the genocide on this world. Every single piece of destruction and war and genocide we have on this world is the result of government and bankers. So let's remove these institutions and get some sanity on this planet because I'm over it.
Absolutely. At least a bit of friggin' decency.
Yeah.
Treating each other with decency. You know, we might have differences in opinions, different cultures and all the rest of it, but sure, you know, if you like punk rock and I like country and western, should we be arguing and warring over it? Because that's really what these people are doing over their belief structures.
Well, they are, and it's not even belief structures. I mean, it's just government. It's corporate rubbish. It's corporate rubbish. It's governments that create all of this mess. It's governments. Even the problem that's going on in Israel and Palestine. It's Netanyahu's government and it's Hamas that are creating the problems. The people don't want it. Most of the people in Israel don't want it. Most of the people in Palestine don't want it. Some of the people in Israel want it because they're all trained to be sociopaths. That's just Israel. That's the way it is. That's what's the problem with Israel. That's why Israel's always involved in conflict because it always creates it. But, you know, the people don't want war. Nobody wants war. Nobody I've ever met in any country wants war. Wars are created by governments. So let's remove these people because all they do is send our children off to kill other people's children because of some corporate reason. It's going to be good for the books. It's usually good for the books. War is good for the books, and it's about stealing land. It's usually about stealing land or stealing resources because of this ridiculous concept that ownership is real, that we go and kill people so we can own stuff. It's absolutely absurd. It's about the time the world woke up. It really is, and I'm over it. I'm sick of these governments. I'm sick of these people. I'm sick of being lied to. I'm sick of sociopaths. And it's time the world woke up, you know.
Absolutely.
It really is. We've got an opportunity to fix things here, mate, and I think that's what this crisis in Gaza is giving us. It's showing us exactly what is wrong with the world, and it's giving us the opportunity to stand up and fix it. We just got to embrace the opportunity.
No, definitely. I fully agree. I mean, if people in Ireland, for example, Max, I know, you know, it's nothing like being bombed every day and being penned in and shot when you're going fishing.
You guys know what the Palestinians are going through. I mean, you guys didn't even but you haven't got a wall around you, you know. But you guys have been through it at the hands of that ridiculous freaking regime in Britain and the royal slag on the throne in that country. You guys have experienced everything that whore has done to you. And this is what's going on in Gaza at the moment. I mean, they got a wall around them. They can't even run to the hills, you know.
No, and look, we've got criminals as our even if it's just for supporting, as you say, Israel, they are criminals. But we're being mass medicated over here as well. So, you know, we need to highlight every single crime that these apparent trustees of our word and our lives should, you know, oh God, I could lose it too. Okay, I get incredibly angry. I saw you got very, very angry. Tell you what, tell us, you met, you had dealings with the Hamas when you and Ken O'Keefe went into Palestine, and you ended up having to come out, and they questioned you for a while. Can you tell us about your experience with that? I really wanted to let people know that we're being told about terrorist organisations. Here in Ireland, we know that people were fighting for their land. Here in Ireland, we're called terrorists. So we know people can be labelled.
Well, you got to look at what we did when we went to Gaza. We actually entered the country illegally. We snuck in through a rebel tunnel. It wasn't an official Hamas tunnel or anything, because there were tunnels that they used to get supplies through. They haven't been able to do it lately, but we snuck in through a rebel tunnel. Hamas didn't know. We breached their security. We went into the center of Gaza Strip. We just wandered around town. I'm wandering around town with a video camera in Gaza Strip, you know, and I'm taking video footage and I'm posting it out on the internet. You know, we're up on the roof of this unit making videos and posting on the internet. I mean, this is a country that is in a state of war and crisis. It's besieged by Israel. They're very, very sus. Hamas don't like you taking photos of them and all sorts of stuff. And there's us running around the country with a camera, just videoing everything and making clips and putting them on YouTube and laughing and carrying on and lecturing at the university and all sorts of stuff, And we just snuck into the country. So we thought, well, there's no way we're in here, and Hamas don't know because Ken O'Keefe's a pretty well-known sort of a character, so they must have figured out that we're in here by now. So we figured, well, they're probably going to come and see us, and sure enough, they did. There's actually an interview on my website, you could probably look back on 2012 sometime, be August or September, and there's an interview with Chris Geo on Truth Frequency live from Gaza Strip, and you can hear Hamas pounding on the door halfway through the interview. And it's actually quite funny because the internet connection is very bad in Gaza, and just as Hamas were pounding on the door, Chris and Sherry went to a break, and then when they came back after the break, the internet had dropped. And they think, oh my God, where's Max gone? Hamas was knocking on the door and Max has gone offline, and oh my God, we're so concerned for his safety. Yeah, it was quite funny, really, when I listened to it back. But what they did, they came and confiscated our passports, and they held our passports for 6 days, and they didn't give them back to us until an hour and a half before we were due to leave the country. We had to go and say, look, we want to leave today. Can we have our passports back, please? And they gave them back. The guy from the Ministry of Interior gave us our passports back, and he said, okay, here's your passports, but you've got to be at the border at Rafah Crossing by 1 o'clock, which is an hour and a half away, because the guys on the morning shift know you're coming and they'll let you through. We've told them that we gave you permission to enter the country, so they're not going to arrest you when you try to leave, and they'll get you out through a tunnel so Egypt doesn't arrest you when you get back to Egypt for leaving their country illegally, because you don't want to be in an Egyptian jail. That's what they said to us, but you've got to get to the border by 1. So we raced off. We said goodbye to people, said goodbye to the kids we'd built the schoolroom for, got to the border at about 1:45, and we're just about to get through, and the guy said, no, you've got to come and talk to the guy who's running the border security before you can get through. And we kind of looked at each other and thought, okay, look, we're right here. We can see Egypt. It's right there, It's about a 2-minute walk away. And no, you've got to come and talk to this guy. So we back in the car, all our luggage back in the car. We ended up going to a compound, going to an inner compound inside the outer compound. A big metal gate shuts, and suddenly we're in this big, it was like a prison. We're in a big compound, with metal gates and high walls and barbed wire. And we're going, oh, this is interesting. And then we're in an office, with 5 Hamas. And they're asking us, okay, we want to know how you got into the country. We're not going to let you leave until you tell us how you got in. And we're like, okay. And then we're in this room being interrogated for 5 hours. And the interrogation was there were 5 guys sitting around asking us questions. They're bringing us tea and biscuits. They're bringing us, are you okay? Would you like a drink of water? Do you need to go to the toilet? Do you need this? Do you need that? Would you like another cup of tea? Being very, very nice. Trying to get us to convince us to show them where this tunnel is. We're going, no, we can't find it. We don't know. They're going, well, okay, we're going to drive you into town in an RV, and you're going to retrace your steps, and you're going to show us where the tunnel is, all this sort of stuff. So we're driving around in an RV with 5 Hamas, the Kalashnikovs and machine guns and shit everywhere. They're driving us around trying to find these tunnels, and we're just saying, no, we don't know. Ken's even swearing at them, saying, this is bullshit. We're not going to be able to find these fucking tunnels, He was
So they didn't torture you, Max? They didn't torture you?
They were very nice to us. And when they figured out that we weren't going to show them where the tunnel was, they gave us our luggage back, and they said, well, look, it's not very safe. It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon now, and you've got to get across the Sinai Desert in the dark. You're a couple of white guys. It's not very safe. We'll provide a driver for you so that you get back to Cairo safely. All right? Now, this is Hamas, this terrible terrorist organisation. They asked us questions for 5 hours, drove us around town, gave us tea and bickies, and provided a driver to get us back to Cairo safely. Okay? And we entered their country illegally, and we were taking videos. They could have shot me as a spy. They had every right to do so. They had every right to imprison me. They had every right to keep me, ransom me, do everything they wanted to me. They treated me nicely, they treated me fairly, they treated me kindly, and they provided a driver to get me back to Cairo safely. That's my experience with Hamas. My experience with the Israelis is that they are rude and arrogant.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen if the boot was on the other foot and it was the Israelis that wanted
if
to know
I'd snuck into Israel like that, how do you think I would have been treated? If I'd snuck into Israel and been running around with a video camera, what do you reckon they would have done to me?
Yeah, I wonder.
Mm.
It wouldn't have got into the mainstream media anyway.
Yeah, for sure, mate, for sure. But you're not being told the truth about Palestine, and I'm sorry I got so angry at the start of the show there, but I'm 6 o'clock in the morning and I'm pissed off. I'm so pissed off. I'm so sick of seeing my
I'd be
friends
pissed off if
blown up.
somebody.
I'm
I'd
sick of
be.
seeing kids blown up. I'm sick of seeing children hacked to death in the middle of the street. Children cut in half in the middle of the street. What is this? How can people
Mm.
approve this? Special needs centres being bombed. What is this all about? What strategic value in bombing a special needs centre? Oh yeah, there was a terrorist there. That's all they have to say with anything. You see, they say because Hamas was democratically elected, so they say everything is Hamas infrastructure. They're blowing up the police chief. Oh, he's Hamas. He's the police chief. What do you mean he's Hamas? The school. Oh, it's Hamas. Everything, the hospital, Hamas. It's all Hamas infrastructure. So they're destroying Hamas infrastructure to keep Israel safe. They've just destroyed the water system because Hamas is the government and the government controls the water. So the water system is Hamas infrastructure, isn't it? The people voted for Hamas, so they're all part of Hamas too, aren't they? The thing is, there are no military targets in Gaza Strip. It's all civilian targets that they're hitting, all of it. They've destroyed 900 homes in Gaza Strip. They've just asked 100,000 people to evacuate North Gaza because they're bringing the army in. North Gaza. This is Gaza City. What are you gonna demolish Gaza City? Where are these
Mm.
people going to live? You're just going to go and turn all of these refugees into being more homeless, and you're going to turn the whole place into rubble and cut off their water and just let them die. That's what Israel does best, is it kills Palestinians. And it just does it whenever anybody is distracted with anything else, whenever there's the World Cup or some crisis somewhere while nobody's looking, let's go in and wipe out a few of the people in Gaza. That's what Israel does best. It uses any excuse it can to kill more Palestinians while screaming out, poor me, I'm the victim. It's disgusting.
It really is. It really is disgusting. Ah, well, what can you say about it? I mean, you intend to go back there and stay there for a period of time, maybe even reporting from Gaza.
Yeah, I'm going to go and do all the stuff I've got to do in Europe. If I didn't have all of this stuff booked in Europe, I'd go there now. But
Mm.
it's hard to get in. But yeah, I'm going to go and do the stuff I've got booked in Europe. I'm going to come home. I'm going to finish the film, and I intend to go and live in Gaza Strip by the end of 2015. I want to be in there, living in there. I want to stay there for at least a year. Hopefully more. But I want to bring the word out to people what's actually going on the ground in there. I'll do my shows from Gaza Strip. I'll make my films from Gaza Strip. I'll do everything I'm doing here. I can do it in Gaza Strip. So I'm going to
Yeah.
go there and I'm going to stand with those people, and I want the world to see, because they don't have any international news service or anything like that. We didn't hear about these 3 Palestinians that were killed at the checkpoint because they don't have any international news service to be able to tell you and whip up a racial frenzy the way Israel does. And it's doubtful those 3 youths were even killed by Palestinians. They're probably killed by right-wing Israeli extremists just so that they could go and bomb Gaza the way they do. And very interesting, in Haaretz, the newspaper, Haaretz or whatever it's called, um,
Okay.
there was 3 weeks before these youths were kidnapped. There was the head of Israeli security outlining a plan and what they would do in the event of the kidnapping of 3 youths. Like the whole thing
What the
was laid. The whole thing was laid out 3 weeks before they did it. They as a scenario, a hypothetical scenario, and then it happens 3 weeks later. I mean, come on, people. Wake up and smell the coffee. This was set up by Israel so they could go and kill more Palestinians. It always is.
Yeah. I mean, and for those people, for those people who don't know why Israel and Palestine have a problem at all with each other, could you explain that to people here?
Well, in
It's a big, we're going back 60 years and
well, we're
more.
going back. So we're going more than 60 years, but basically Palestine was a country that existed in the Middle East for thousands of years. The Jews lived there. I mean, there were Jews and Palestinians and Muslims living there in peace, babysitting each other's kids as recently as 1946.
Mm.
And then the Jews are terribly persecuted through World War II and all the stuff that happened in Germany and all the stuff in Europe. So the UN decides to give them a country, give them a homeland in 1948, and they go down and claim Palestine. They give them half of Palestine, which is not theirs to give. It's just the same as France promising Paraguay to China. You know, what's it got to
And
do with,
the
you know?
UN gave Israel the land, yes?
The UN, yeah, the UN sanctioned or divided Palestine and gave 60% of the country to the Jews from Europe. And they gave them 60% of the country, not 50%, but 60%. They divided it in such a way, like if you look at the map, there's no way this could work. Plus, they gave all the most fertile land to Israel, okay? And then, since then, Israel's just been stealing more and more land. If you look at the map now, it's virtually all Israel. And in another 10 or 15 years, the whole place will be Israel. What's going on there is that a group of refugees came to a country that wasn't theirs, and they displaced the population that lives there and created a whole new group of refugees. And these have just people have just been ignored. They're saying, oh, there were no Palestinians. There are no Palestinians. Israel will tell you that there was no Palestine. There was no one living in Palestine. It was just an area, but there was nobody here. Well, what about the 7 million refugees you created by going there? Where did they come from? You
It's
know, they were
madness.
Palestinians. But it's ethnic cleansing. It's land theft and ethnic cleansing. It's been going on for 60 years, and it's fully sanctioned by our governments. They just say, oh, we must support Israel. And all these Arabs hate Israel. It's not true. Israel is stealing land and killing Arabs. It's been doing it for 60 years. And these aren't even people who have a claim to the land. They're Europeans who came down there from Europe. They're not Semites. They're not dark-skinned. They're not Middle Eastern. They have no claim. They have no genetic tie to the land. They have no hereditary claim to the land. They're converts from Europe who decided to steal a country, and it's been sanctioned by the rest of the world, and the ethnic cleansing that's been carried out against the local inhabitants has been sanctioned for 60 years. It's got to stop. We've really got to pay attention to this and not let this continue, because if we don't, then the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. This is how they displace populations. This is what they'll do in all of our countries. They'll just get rid of all the people they don't want, and that's what they're doing in Palestine.
Because I was listening to a couple of people chatting about this situation, and in their ignorance, they were learning about it and asking questions of each other. And one of the questions that kept popping up with a couple of people was, why aren't the UN peacekeeping force going in and helping the Palestinians?
Well, the UN peacekeeping forces are the ones who created the whole situation. I mean, the
Exactly.
UN peacekeeping forces are up around the north of Israel, around the Golan Heights and on the border between Lebanon and stuff, but they're not doing anything in Palestine. I saw UN vans and UN people all through Palestine. They don't do shit. They just wander around getting high paychecks. They're not doing anything, you know, driving their nice vans around Palestine. That's all they do. They don't do a damn thing, you know. You know, the UN created the problem to begin with by giving them the country that wasn't theirs to give, you know.
Yeah, yeah. John McCann in the chat room has actually asked a question I was just about to ask you, so that's really cool. Good one, John. Sean, what does Max think about what people can do? What can we do? I know that we should be harassing every single politician on the planet from every country that sanctions this.
Well, you got to be making as much noise as possible as all you can do. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, go there if you can. Go to Palestine. We need a huge amount of people to go there. Thousands of people to go there would be great. But, you know, it's dangerous because Israel is bombing the place. But the more international people go there, the better. The less bombs they can drop. You know, if there was a delegation of 2,000 international activists in Palestine, you know, how could Israel bomb the place if there's 2,000 people there from every country on earth trying to help these impoverished people? They can't. You know what I mean? But at the moment, there's probably half a dozen activists in there, maybe a dozen, maybe 20, 30 people from overseas or something, you know. We need thousands of people in there, you know.
Wouldn't it be great if we could know where they were next going to hit, make sure there were no Palestinians in it, and just convince the Bilderberg group that's where their next meeting's taking place?
Well, you can't. Yeah, well, there isn't anywhere that they can hit in Gaza where there's no Palestinians, because you got 1.8 million people packed into an area 25 miles long and 5 miles wide. There's nowhere you can go to get away from the bombs. There's no target that they can hit that isn't going to take out civilians, because the whole country is civilians, you know. Yeah. But we need to put this truth in the face of people and be brutally honest. Don't pull any punches. Don't be politically correct. Don't ask your government why they're supporting Israel. Ask your government why they are supporting Israel's genocide and ethnic cleansing towards the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
Use the word genocide. Use the word ethnic cleansing. Ask your government why they are supporting the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people that is currently being carried out by the rogue state of Israel. Ask them that question and use that wording. see how they take it. If you've got to ring up a radio talk show, ask the question in that manner. Why should we support the rogue state of Israel in its ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people that it's been carrying out for the last 60 years under the guise of being a victim? Why should we support this?
Absolutely.
So that's all we can do, man. Be brutally honest and put truth in the face of as many people as possible, as loudly as possible, and call people out. When you see them doing the wrong thing, call them out. Don't suggest a news reporter may have given you a false story. Call them out and say you're a liar, you're a barefaced liar, and your network is spreading disinformation. Call your government out and say your government is supporting terrorism because it's supporting the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. Just call it out. Call it for what it is. Don't be politically correct. Don't use soft language. Stand in your truth. Speak your truth and stand in it. If we all do this, we'll change things.
Absolutely. I have Hilary Whitehead in the chat room, and she says, so many of our MPs are friends of Israel, including mine, who has been to Palestine and knows what happens.
Well, then why aren't they doing something?
Yeah. Okay. Did you hear Gerald Kaufman? He is in fact a British MP. And did you hear his speech in their parliament about this issue?
No, I didn't.
Would you like to hear it? Because I've just copied it and.
Sure. Look, there are a lot of people who know this, but even a lot of the politicians they're using soft language.
Okay,
they're using soft language. They should name things what they are. Name ethnic cleansing for what it is. Name genocide for what it is, and name terrorism for what it is, and name Israel as a rogue state because it is.
Right. Okay. Well, I agree with that, and that's what we all will be doing. I reckon anyone that's listening to your passionate words, Max, is going to be going around telling people as it is. And I think, Vin actually put a funny meme up on Facebook the other week saying, "This is tell it as it fucking is week."
Exactly. And people should know me. Like I'm a very calm and quite eloquent announcer. I don't lose the plot. I don't swear. I don't accuse. I don't get angry. I don't rant and rave usually on radio shows. But for me to do this has been a wake up call for me. This has been a wake up call. I'm sick of being calm. Maybe I've been too calm. Yeah. But I am mad. The gloves have to come off. I am angry. I am ridiculously angry, and I will not back down on this issue. And for people who know me, they must understand that for me to be saying the things that I'm saying, I am incredibly passionate about this. I have a fire in my belly. I really do. It's not like me to do this, and I'm not pulling any punches with this issue anymore. And I just want people to understand that this passion is necessary. It really is. We've got to do something to get the people motivated on this issue, Sean.
Absolutely, Max. And look, it's been emotional, and I know you were in tears in some of your interviews. You were, threatening to do all sorts of things to Satan Nahu, and you were doing all sorts of things, and you're rightly so. I mean, it is a wake-up call for everybody who is allowing this to get away with, Israel to do this. Let me play you this piece. If you'd mute your mic for a bit, Max, and I'll play you this piece from Gerald Kaufman. He denounces Israel as war criminals in Parliament in England. So I thought it was worth listening to, and you can maybe tell us what you think of it afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, cheers, Max.
Sir Gerald Kaufman.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I was brought up as an Orthodox Jew and a Zionist. On a shelf in our kitchen was a tin box of the Jewish National Fund, into which we put coins to help the pioneers building a Jewish presence in Palestine. I first went to Israel in 1961, and I've been there since more times than I can count. I had family in Israel, and I have friends in Israel. One of them fought in the wars of 1956, 1967, and 1973, and was wounded in two of them. The tie clip which I'm wearing is made from a campaign decoration awarded to him, which he presented to me. I've known most of the prime ministers of Israel, starting with the founding prime minister, David Ben-Gurion. Golda Meir was my friend. So was Yigal Allon, the deputy prime minister, who as a general won the Negev for Israel in the 1948 War of Independence. My parents came to Britain as refugees from Poland. Most of their families were subsequently murdered by the Nazis in the Holocaust. My grandmother was ill in bed when the Nazis came to her hometown of Stashof. A German soldier shot her dead in her bed. Madam Deputy Speaker, my grandmother did not die to provide cover for Israeli soldiers murdering Palestinian grandmothers in Gaza. The present Israeli government ruthlessly and cynically exploit the continuing guilt among Gentiles over the slaughter of Jews in the Holocaust as justification for their murder of Palestinians. The implication is that Jewish lives are precious, but the lives of Palestinians do not count. On Sky News a few days ago, the spokeswoman for the Israeli army, Major Leibovich, was asked about the Israeli killing of, at that time, 800 Palestinians. The total is now 1,000. She replied instantly, 500 of them were militants. That was the reply of a Nazi. I suppose the Jews fighting for their lives in the Warsaw Ghetto could have been dismissed as militants. The Israeli Foreign Minister, Tzipi Livni, asserts that her government will have no dealings with Hamas because they're terrorists. Tzipi Livni's father was Eitan Livni, Chief Operations Officer of the terrorist Igan Leumi, who organized the blowing up of the King David Hotel in Jerusalem, in which 91 victims were killed, including 4 Jews. Israel was born out of Jewish terrorism. Jewish terrorists hanged 2 British sergeants and booby-trapped their corpses. Igan, together with the terrorist Stern Gang, massacred 254 Palestinians in 1948 in the village of Deir Yassin. Today, the present Israeli government indicate that they will be willing, in circumstances acceptable to them, to negotiate with the Palestinian President Abbas of Fatah. It's too late for that, Madam Deputy Speaker. They could have negotiated with Fatah's previous leader, Yasser Arafat, who was a friend of mine. Instead, they besieged him in a bunker in Ramallah, where I visited him. It's because of the failings of Fatah since Arafat's death that Hamas won the election, the Palestinian election in 2006. Hamas is a deeply nasty organization, but it was democratically elected, and it is the only game in town. The boycotting of Hamas, including by our own government, has been a culpable error from which dreadful consequences have followed. The great Israeli Foreign Minister Abba Eban, with whom I campaigned for peace on many platforms, said, "You make peace by talking to your enemies." However many Palestinians the Israelis murder in Gaza, they cannot solve this existential problem by military means. Whenever and however the fighting ends, there will still be 1.5 million Palestinians in Gaza and 2.5 million more Palestinians in the West Bank, who are treated like dirt by the Israelis, with hundreds of roadblocks and with the ghastly denizens of the illegal Jewish settlements harassing them as well. The time will come, not so long from now, when they will outnumber the Jewish population in Israel. It's time for our government to make clear to the Israeli government that its conduct and policies are unacceptable and to impose a total arms ban on Israel. It is time for peace, but real peace, not the solution by conquest, which is the Israelis' real goal, but which is impossible for them to achieve. They're not simply war criminals, they're fools.
So what do you think of that, Max?
That was very good. That was nice to hear someone say, but I think he was a little too tame.
Okay. Well, guess what? Guess what?
But he's right. He's absolutely right. They're war criminals, and anybody who's supporting the Israeli government should be also complicit in this war crime, because what's happening in Gaza right now is a war crime. Any politician who's spoken in support of it should be put in jail as a war criminal. Absolutely. Stephen Harper should be in jail as a war criminal. Any British politician that's supporting it should be in jail as a war criminal. Tony Abbott is a war criminal. Anybody who is supporting this incursion into Gaza should be instantly removed from office and jailed for the rest of their damn lives.
No, absolutely. You're dead right. But guess what? This Gerald Kaufman, the MP who made this speech, he's now been implicated in a paedophile ring and is one of the 600 and so being investigated. Some people are saying that it is just because of this speech. Others are
That
saying
wouldn't surprise me at all. That would not surprise me at all. Pedophilia is just something that they usually use against anyone who speaks out against Israel or anyone who speaks out against the government. Usually the pedophiles in government accuse these honest people of being pedophiles to shift the blame away from them, you know.
right, okay. It's just that, when I listened to that speech and I thought, at least somebody is saying something publicly and very publicly, actually in a governmental position.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's good, and he's right. We should be have a complete, total arms ban, a complete embargo. There should be sanctions put against Israel immediately. Boycott, divest, sanctions, all of it. Divestment, remove all your money. Do not buy any Israeli products. Do not send them any money. Do not invest in Israel. Boycott all Israeli products and put a complete global sanction against Israel. They should not be allowed to trade. They should not be allowed to do anything until they stop carrying out acts of genocide against the people whose land they stole.
You're absolutely right. Lee in the chat room is asking. I think you missed some of the show, Lee, because you're asking about UN not intervening with Gaza, but in fact we've already discussed that, Lee. So basically they created it or helped create it.
Well, there's people in the UN now calling for a ceasefire. I mean, all this sort of stuff. I mean, it's all theatre. UN created the whole mess. UN gave this country to the Khazars anyway, and they had no right to do so. Like I said, it's the equivalent of France giving Paraguay to China. It has nothing to do with them. You can't give someone else's country away. And so it doesn't matter because, there's no real people that live there. They're just Palestinians. The place is controlled by England anyway. We can give it to whoever we want,
Yeah, they gave a big chunk of Ireland to somebody else, but anyway.
It's lovely that, isn't it? England's good like that. They come in, who are you, a lovely country? Well, we're just going to give it to these other guys, okay? Go away. Have a nice day. Just go away and do it somewhere else, please. Thank you. Bye. England's lovely like that.
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to try and stop saying England and English. I'm going to try and keep to the British side of it because it really is just the British Empire, isn't it?
Well, it's just the royal slag, really. It's the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha family on the throne,
Yeah, what do you do there? Look, this common law court thing that's going on around the world at the moment, Kevin Annett, you've heard of what he's doing. How can these be, like we want to know what we can do. Can we arrest our governments? Can we citizens arrest our people in powers that be that are proven to be criminals?
Look, rather than even arrest them, why don't we just boycott the whole thing? Boycott the whole system. Just refuse to do it anymore. Have to arrest them. I mean, the whole system's fiction. It's all theatre. This is what I've been trying to say for 6 years, Sean. If we had the respect for each other in our community, we wouldn't have to do anything. All we have to do is support each other and be friends with each other and not go along with any rule which is creating hardship for anybody. That's all we have to do. We can boycott the whole thing. We don't have to do a damn thing the government says. The government is simply a bunch of people that convince the country that we need looking after. We need a nanny state. You need us to take care of you because you can't do it on your own. You poor little thing. You can't look after yourself. So we're going to come along and we'll fix everything for you. There you go. That's what the government's for. And what we're going to do that, look, because we're fixing things for you, look, I'm just going to take your child because I need to put him in this country so I can kill this other guy's kid. And whoever wins, okay? But your child, this is the way it is. We send children off to die and we steal everything we can from you. But we appease you. We're doing it all for your best interest. It's all good. That's what government's for. It's a mechanism by which you can be stolen from, your children can be sent off to die, and you can be looked after by a nanny because you're just not capable of looking after your poor little self. That's what government is for. It's a scam. We don't need it. It's a bunch of sociopaths who are stealing the world.
But until we take them to task and arrest the feckers, they're going to continue doing it, and there's going to be support from people who will continue to support them until they see those guys in handcuffs and locked away.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is. I mean, there's going to be people who want to arrest them. I don't really give a shit. I don't want to arrest you. Just go away. Leave me alone. I just want to know about you. But there's going to be people that want to do that. So fine, do it. If that's what you want to do that. Yeah. But, we're not going to do anything if we don't have a united community. We need that strength of numbers. We need the respect for each other, Sean. This is what I've been saying. I honestly believe, if we all respected each other, we'd change the world in 5 minutes. If we started operating according to moral parameters rather than legal parameters, the whole world would change in a single day. But we just don't do it. We keep looking for these legal solutions, and we keep pointing the finger. Who can we go and arrest? Who can we do this? Who can we do that? Why don't we just stop going along with all this bullshit and do the right thing? Let's try that. Just do the right thing in all that you do. Imagine that. I mean,
I remember saying on one of my shows before, I think it might have even been when I was talking to you, Max, about a year ago. And I said, my daughter, it was a couple of years ago, because she's 11 now, so she was 9. She just said to me, Daddy, why are people in the country that they live in called terrorists, and the armies going in there and killing them are heroes? What is that all about? Exactly. Who is the invader and who is the protector?
Exactly. One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. That's the way it is, and war is terror. That's it. War is terror. Armies are terrorist organizations. They go and they carry out terrorism against foreign countries. That's what they do. It's government-sanctioned terrorism. That's all it is. Israel's a terrorist state. That's what it's doing against the Palestinians, is it's conducting terrorism against them right now, carrying out massive acts of government-sanctioned and world-sanctioned terrorism against unarmed and innocent civilians. That's what's happening in Gaza Strip.
It's government-sanctioned, isn't it? It's not people-sanctioned. Apart from, as you say, the conditioned Israelis and their education system, are we all being conditioned so much that we think this is a good thing to do to other countries?
Well, a lot of people are. A lot of people there out supporting Israel, saying they've got to go and wipe out these terrible Palestinian terrorists. And they've never been there. They've got no idea what's actually going on there. They're just swallowing all the tripe that's fed to them by the totally corrupt and totally controlled and totally complicit war criminal mainstream media.
Yeah. Like, I've got a question here in the chat room from UK Prepper. Hi, Pete. It says, Sean, can you ask him what he thinks about the rockets that Hamas are firing with not an idea where they're going?
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if half of these rockets are coming from the IDF and Mossad agents that are in with Hamas. I mean, Hamas is an Israeli creation anyway. That's who created Hamas to begin with, in competition to Fatah, because they didn't want to negotiate with Yasser Arafat. So, I mean, these rockets are skyrockets. They're fertilizer-powered pipes. They don't know where they're going to land. They can't guide them. They can't do anything. They just go up and they put a hole in your roof when they come down. They don't blow up or anything like that. I mean, I don't even know why you would bother trying to defend yourself with things like that, which makes me wonder whether these are Israeli agents that are doing this. I mean, what's the result? What's the result? The result is that Palestine gets obliterated. Israel just tried to call a ceasefire before, and Hamas said, no, we won't stop firing. I mean, I can understand, because they're desperate. They're saying, we don't want a ceasefire. We want a truce. We want to have the borders open. We want to be able to trade. We want to be able to be like normal people. You've kept us locked in this pen like dogs for 7 years. We're over it. We're absolutely over it. We want it to be free, or you can kill us. We don't care anymore. But unfortunately, the people in Gaza are the ones who cop it. The civilians in Gaza, because they can't do anything. They can't control Hamas. When Hamas got elected, the first thing it did was close the electoral office. Well, that's it. We're in power. No more elections. Thanks for coming. That's it. What do you do from that point? None of the people have got any guns or weapons. They can't just go and throw Hamas out. The Hamas have got all the guns. What do you do? Oh, you won't get at Hamas? Okay, we're going to bomb your whole country. We're going to put you in a collective prison, and we're going to collectively punish the entire country simply because you don't have the ability to get rid of these guys that we gave you to vote for. Think about this, folks. Israel created Hamas. They put them in there so they could be competition to Fatah. And when they got voted in, because they said, no, we're not going to allow you to have checkpoints and shit here anymore, Israel said, oh, you're terrorists then. We're going to put a wall around your country. We'll only give the Palestinians freedom, and we'll only accept Hamas rule if you are completely and utterly subservient to us and allow us to totally dominate Gaza the way we totally dominate the West Bank. If you won't accept that and won't accept the scraps we throw from the table, then you're terrorists. And by the way, don't complain about the fact that we've stolen 97% of your country, because we've given you this little pile of dirt over here to build your sandcastles on, so what are you complaining about here? Have a few more scraps from the table. That's the attitude.
Max, you hit nails on the head so well, and you eloquently put it. And I don't think there's anybody out there doing it as well as you. And I really want you to know, get as much sleep as you can, and keep going, keep doing it, because you know, you
Oh, I've got to
rock
get
the
some.
way it should be put across.
Oh, I got to get some sleep though. I got to calm down. I got to stop swearing on radio shows. I'm not
Yeah, you
usually like
backed off
this.
my one, you know.
But I'll tell you, whether you get me up at 6 in the morning, mate, I haven't had any time to calm down, and I'm pretty fired up. I get up in the mornings after 4 hours sleep. So
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I mean, we've got to pull the gloves off, Sean. We've stop being politically correct about this. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. To coin a phrase. I'm sick to death of it. I'm sick to death of seeing my friends blown up. I'm sick to death of soft language. I'm sick to death of political correctness. I'm sick to death of these talking heads going on TV and just spreading pure bullshit to people. I'm sick of it. So I'm going to call them out. This is me from now on. I'm just going to call them out. Until the world's fixed, I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm going to call people out and name them for what they are. I'm just not going to pull any punches.
Max, you're on a mission. Keep going, and it's bloody. I think it's working too because people are waking up. I mean, I'm sure many, many listeners are listening to this and thinking, "Yeah, I'm going to man up myself, grow a pair, and start speaking out," because that's really what we need to do. Do you know?
It is, mate. It is what we need to do. And like I said, I've been calm and eloquent for 7 years on the show here, so people know that I can be calm and eloquent. I have tried to present logical solutions to people, and for me to be doing this, and for me to be speaking out the way I am, well, this is getting serious. This is getting serious. It takes a lot to push me to this. And here I am. This is it. The gloves are off,
Okay. And Carl A. Wilding in the chat room says, the UK PLC has signed an agreement to buy drones, i.e. unmanned robot sentry guns from Israel. And then Hillary has added, Ireland Limited has also signed a deal to buy those drones from Israel.
Shoot them down.
Well, yes, okay, we should maybe. I mean, should we be doing that with the chemtrailers as well?
I reckon you should be buying those little drones yourself and go and hover them over Parliament, hover them over the palace, hover them over all the politicians' homes and spy on them.
Yeah.
You can buy these little drones. You can put a GoPro on the bottom. Just do it. We can get public drones. We can start spying on the government. Screw them. They work for us anyway. They want to have surveillance. I reckon we should have surveillance in the country. We should start off by putting surveillance in every room of Parliament House and in every politician's home so we can see what these guys are up to, and then we'll decide whether we need to have them put surveillance anywhere.
Absolutely. No, you're dead right. British government will never go against a country occupying another country, says John McCann in the chat room.
Well, that's because the British government is a criminal organisation.
There you go.
That's what it is. I mean, let's call it for what it is. It's a criminal cabal. So screw the British government. Screw the British government and screw every government that's gone out there and created.
You see, in Ireland, it is a British government, whether we like it or not. It's a provisional government. It's got nothing to do with the Irish people, never been ratified by the Irish people. And it's about time we grew a pair and sorted that little one out. Because as soon as that happens, I think we're in a very, very good position here, actually, Max, because we are in a position where our government aren't our government, and they
exactly.
People
that's
know.
the thing. That's the thing. I reckon the Irish must be able to identify with Palestine probably more than any other race on earth, because you guys have been through hell at the hands of these criminals. You really have. You guys have been brutalised, and you're so staunch and you've been so strong about it. And I'd say that if anybody was in solidarity with the Palestinian people, it would be the Irish.
Well, every person I meet, and I hate to use the word person, but it's in my vocabulary and it's not legalese, haha. Every person I meet on demonstrations, going to talks and all the rest of it, all of them involved with Irish stuff, you know what? They all are quite big advocates for the freedom and the ability of Palestinians to live their life in freedom and outside of the Israeli genocide.
Yeah, there is no one ruling race. There is no race that's better than others. We're all in this planet together, and it's about time we all started treating people with respect and decided to live equally. And you can't own land anyway, so what the hell are you having wars trying to steal countries for? You can't own land. The earth owns you. You don't own shit.
Absolutely. No, you're dead right. Unique Lee is put into the chat room. Okay, try this question. How does Max foretell the threat by ISIS to invade, free, the Spanish from their lands? Is an invasion by ISIS to Spain plausible? Another cycle repeating, as in Fanks and Moors, etc.
ISIS is the latest CIA, Mossad, boogeyman. It'll do whatever the CIA gives it enough money to do. It's a government-controlled psyop, the same as Al Qaeda. You know, it'll do whatever the CIA wants to go and undermine. That'll be the mechanism it uses to do it. It's a CIA Mossad tool. That's what it is. It's not Islamic extremists. It's like the Muslim Brotherhood, which is an Israeli-run operation. It's what, the whole Muslim Brotherhood. It's Islam. It's bullshit. It's run by Israel. It was Israeli sympathizers. Look what happened when the Muslim Brotherhood, the whole Arab Spring. What happened? What was the result of that? The destabilization of the Arab countries and more power to Israel. The whole thing's puppeteered.
Yeah, it's pretty mad stuff, isn't it? I can't comprehend why somebody would rape someone, why somebody would want to kill another person, and all the rest of it, and why people have this superiority complex. Is it really that they think they're the chosen ones? Is it really that?
It's programming. And yeah, it is. It's programming. You got to understand the Israeli education system. They're taught the Bible as history. They actually taught the Bible. That they learned and you got to understand Jews. Judaism doesn't really respect the Bible. They think Christians are idiots. They don't think Christ was the Son of God or any of this sort of stuff. It's a completely different belief system. But they use the Bible, the Christian Bible, as a history book because it's the only place in the world you can find Jewish history. Because Jewish history is fabricated, really. Most of it's just myth and fiction. So they use that as a history book, and they learn it from preschool until they graduate. It's there, and that's drummed into them. Look at the Bible. It's not a very happy book, is it? No. You look at this Bible mentality, and this is people who don't even believe in Christianity, but they treat it as a history book, and they have this instilled into them and drummed into them, and it creates a sociopathic, supremacist mindset in these people, and they absolutely believe it. You try talking to an Israeli about any of this stuff, and you come up against a brick wall of racist programming. They're absolutely programmed. That's why it's very difficult to blame them. You can't say all Jews are bad and you hate all Jews. No, the problem is the Zionist education system that breeds sociopathic mentality. That's the problem. It's a construct. It's a program. That's why it's so difficult to judge and hate these people. Most of the bad people in the world are programmed. That's why they do what they do, because they're programmed to do so. And I get very, very passionate, and I get very outspoken when I talk about Israel. But I'm not talking about the Jews that live in Israel. What I'm talking about is the system, the Israeli government, the Zionist system that's been put in place there. That's the problem. The problem isn't Jews. The problem is Zionism. That's the problem. Big difference.
Yeah, I wish I knew enough to be able to when people start throwing questions at me, because I talk about all sorts of different subjects all the time. I really would love to be able to answer as eloquently as you do, Max, and to have that.
I've been very eloquent today, mate. I'm throwing in a few adjectives in there,
You've been great, and those adjectives I think are permissible and allowable with what's happening at the moment. I mean, we're genuinely, we're on lockdown from the mainstream media. These lies are continuing, and we need to go forward, shout and shout and shout to people to show people how much the media is supporting the lying and the programming.
They are. They're complicit in war crimes. They've literally been showing blown up buildings from Palestine and saying it's Israel. They're showing up all the rocket damage from these huge rockets and bombs that Israel's been sending into Gaza, and they're showing blown up buildings in Gaza and saying this is damage from Hamas rockets in Israel. It's a lie. It's a blatant lie, and it's supporting a war crime. And they're reporting this, and these reporters are still on. They're not even being removed from their positions, and they're going out telling barefaced lies to millions of people and spreading disinformation to the entire world. And it's just all they're being allowed to do it. They'll report something. They'll show some picture on primetime news and name it as being Israel when it's actually Gaza. Then they'll come on at like 3 o'clock in the morning and say, oh, look, they'll issue a little apology. It'll be a little subtext in the bottom of a page somewhere. It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning. No one sees the apology. No one knows. Everyone wakes up the next day and still thinks that was Israel. Yeah. It's a scam. It's an absolute scam. Barefaced lies, barefaced disinformation, blatant sociopaths spreading lies, promoting war propaganda and promoting genocide and ethnic cleansing. Every news service that is doing this is promoting ethnic cleansing.
And then, Max, the ones that, purport to be newspapers. I saw the front page of the Daily Star only a couple of days ago with all this happening in Gaza and other things going on around the world. And the front page of the Star, and I mean it, front page, bold, half the feckin' front page of it was the title, the headline, that One Direction might be splitting up. So that's the celebrity bullshit, the distractions on a mighty, mighty scale. That was the front page of a newspaper. And we're finishing in RTE here. Pretty much every single news item, news coverage, finishes with something about a celebrity. We have had people marching for Palestine in Dublin having a smaller group gathering and march than they were for marching for a Garth Brooks concert that was cancelled.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? We had the same thing here, Sean. Front page in the newspaper here a couple of weeks ago was Dwayne Johnson, how much his stuntman looks like him. That was the front page news, right? Right. I mean, come on.
Look, if it looked like his pet, they'd have that on the front of his dog or his cat. It really is
numbing, you know.
It really is time, Max, that we show up these mainstream media programming devices for what they really are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Show them up for what they are. Call a spade a spade. Don't be politically correct. Name these people for what they are and put it brutal honesty in the face of everybody that you can. Don't pull any punches. Be eloquent. Be calm. Don't scream and yell and rant and square like I do in the start of the show. But then don't get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and start screaming at people the way I did. But
hey, listen, at 9 p.m. on Out of the Bag, oh my God, it was lovely radio. Thank you very much.
But yeah, I mean, I do feel like that. I do feel like I'd like to tear his head off and beat his government to death with it. I really do. I mean, I can say that. I can say that and not get arrested for actually delivering a threat to kill someone, because I can't actually physically do that. It's not a threat. It's not a threat to kill someone unless you can actually do it. I don't think I'd be strong enough to actually tear his head off and beat his government to death with it, but it's a nice thought.
Max, a long time, well, about 5 years ago, I had been about 4 years on horrible pharmaceutical drugs that I'm now, thank God, they're in the past. But they changed my personality. They did all sorts to me. But they also, some of them sent me as high as a fucking kite, right? Because they gave me depressing antidepressants to sleep. Okay. And I ended up I actually went into the Galway Advertiser here in the centre of Galway and said to the editor, unless you start telling the truth, I'm going to rip your head off, shove it up your arse and show you how much shite you're creating. And I actually remember saying it.
Well, that's a threat that you can't actually do, so you can get away with that one. You know what I mean? If you said, look, I'm going to come back and shoot you in the head, that's a threat to kill. You can go to jail for saying that. That's a threat.
Right. So I was lucky.
Well, yeah, if you make a threat that you can't possibly carry out, it's not physically possible to rip his head off and stick it up his ass. Trust me, you can't do this, you know. That's not taken as a serious threat, is it? You know, but if you said you're going to come back and kill him, well, it is. It's a serious threat. You could do that. You put him in fear of his life, and that's not a good thing to do. I don't want to do that with anybody at all. But I have no problem saying what I just said about Benjamin Netanyahu, because, you know.
Well, he's evil, and
he is. He's out there sucking Satan's cock every night. That's what he does. He's a moron. He's a genocidal maniac. He's a sociopath. He's a psychopath. He's a baby killer, mass murderer, terrorist. He needs to be dealt with internationally, taken to an international court and put him in jail and put his whole government in jail with him. That's what needs to happen. It should be global.
I think they should be doing that to the provisional Irish government here, you know.
And they should be doing it to every politician that supports Israel. Every politician that supports Israel in this current incursion into Gaza needs to be put in jail. It's as simple as that. They're all criminals.
They are. Listen, Max, I'd say you could do with a break and get yourself a cup of tea or a coffee or a drink of water or something. What do you think? Should I put a tune on?
Sounds like a great idea. I'll make a cup of tea.
And welcome back to Out of the Bag. This is Sean Maguire live on People's Internet Radio. That's www.peoplesinternetradio.com, where we are seeking solutions. And I am so honoured to have, early in the morning in Australia, Max Egan here with me still. Are you there with me, Max?
Certainly am, brother.
Brilliant. I hope you've watered your horse, as they say, and all the rest of it, as we say in Ireland. Taking a wee break, I did.
No, I got myself a cup of tea, so I'll probably need one later for sure.
Well, hopefully you'll get some sleep a bit later on and get your batteries recharged for the mission that you're on, because you're really on a mission.
Well, we need to be, mate. We need to. We've got to do something about what's going on. We can't allow the world to continue in the direction that it's going. And I think, Palestine provides a great opportunity, as I was just saying. It puts it in your face. It shows you actually what they have planned for you, because the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. And we can't allow this terrorist regime in Israel to keep doing what it's doing. I mean, it's a Nazi government. I mean, that's actually not fair to call them a Nazi government. But it's not fair on the Nazis to call them a Nazi government. I'd say that the Israeli government has far exceeded the Nazi government. It's worse than the Nazi government. It's a totally rogue terrorist government. And unfortunately, the people in Israel are getting the blame for it. The Jews are getting the blame for it. And it's going to cause Israel to implode, the actions of this Nazi government. It is going to cause the implosion of Israel. Israel will bring about its own demise via its own actions if it doesn't start acting humanely and respectfully towards other people. That's simply the truth of the matter.
Uniquely has just put into the chat room that there is, and he's put it in quotes, so I'm presuming he's got it from a source, 6-hour ceasefire to take place in the Gaza Strip on Thursday after Israel agrees to UN request.
Well, I hope so. That's on Thursday. So we're going to have a 6-hour ceasefire on Thursday, are we? That's nice. Or 6 hours. Beautiful.
Yeah, so I mean, just, the shift finishes, they'll go and have their suppers at home, and they'll come back 6 hours later and restart what they're doing.
Well, like I said, they've destroyed over 900 homes. They've killed over 1,000 people. Over 150 people now, or nearly 200 people. They've injured about 12 or 1,300 people. There has not been one single Israeli death. Ceasefire. Israel's going to have a ceasefire, are they? That's nice of them, isn't it?
I was wondering what your reaction to it would be.
These psychopathic, sociopathic pricks. I mean, like I said, Nazi is too good a word for the Israeli government. It really is. Yeah. It's an insult to the Nazis.
Yeah, it's mad. And John McCann has just put that Press TV bit that I read out about the politician saying that they must kill all Palestinian mothers. So look, everybody...
That was a woman saying that as well, Sean. That was actually a woman who said that.
Yeah, that's even more of a point. I mean,
the giver of life, a woman. This is people who bring life into the world. She thinks that Palestinian women should be killed so they don't give birth to little snakes.
Yeah. So what was she told by her parents, eh?
She should go out and bloody have a relationship with a cheese grater or something.
That'd be too good for the cheese grater, would it? Anyway, look, this is a situation that is really, really out of order, and we all know it is, and it's got you emotional and angry. You've got friends out there, Max. Are they okay? Have you been in touch with them?
Yeah, I speak to them almost daily. Most of them are okay. I'm just waiting to hear back from my friend Omar. I sent him a message a couple of hours ago, but I haven't heard back from him. He could be out. I don't know. It's about 10 p.m. or 11 o'clock at night at the moment in Gaza, I think.
And put us in the picture as well. I mean, is there a social life for Palestinians? Is there a community spirit that they gather and play? I'm thinking of Irish people getting together, playing a bit of music and.
Well, they try to. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they get together and they have parties, they have weddings, they have ceremonies, all sorts of stuff. They get out and have a great time. But, what they can. I mean, they're caught in this open air prison, so there's not a lot of places they can go. But yeah, they do. They socialise. They have a great time. They're normal, everyday people. They just want to live like everybody else. Normal people. I've got friends over there. I've got ladies that I know over there who don't wear hijabs, They got their hair out. They're not Christian, they're Muslim. But there's Christian people in there too. That's what I mean. They say all these Palestinians, they hate the Jews and the Christians. There's quite a large Christian population in Gaza. They're being bombed by the Jews as well. People don't think about that. There is Christians in the Gaza Strip. I went to one street. There's a building on the corner. One side of the building is a mosque and the other side is a church. They go in there and they do prayer together, right? The Christians and the Muslims, they don't hate each other. It's not this terrorist thing that you presented. It's just everything you're told, every single thing you are told about the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian people is a complete barefaced lie. And that's the truth of the matter. You know, that the rogue state and the terrorists in this matter is the rogue Israeli government, and it always has been. The problem is that the Zionists who control Israel also control 100% of the mainstream media. And so people get fed disinformation and they believe it because it's on one of the major networks. And it's all bullshit, the whole lot of it.
And it's going to be really important, I think, and even more importantly, after what you've just said, for you doing your shows from Gaza. I mean, it'd be fantastic for you to interview the Christians, interview the Muslims, interview the people that are interacting culturally with each other and getting on okay, and they know they're not the terrorists the Israelis are.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just get out there with a camera every day and just show the people life in Gaza, show them what it's really like, show them what these people are facing, and show them that they're normal people. They are. There's so many just normal people and good people. They really are. Every Palestinian I've met has been a good person. I haven't met anyone. I didn't feel in any danger the whole time I was there. The only time I felt in danger was when there was Israelis around or when I was crossing through Egyptian security. You know, I didn't feel any danger at all. I didn't, even when Hamas detained us, you get that feeling of, oh my God, that terror. Yeah, I didn't get any of that. I just didn't get any. I did not feel in danger. There was no energetic surge or anything like that. Not crawling through the tunnels, not walking around Gaza Strip, not walking past Hamas with Kalashnikovs on the corner. I didn't feel in danger the whole time I was there. So this has got to count for something. And these people don't know me. I'm just some dude from Australia. They've never heard of me. You know, They don't know what my political views are or anything. They didn't know what my name was. They didn't know a damn thing about me. I was just a foreigner in their country illegally. They could have done anything they wanted. And I did not feel in danger the whole time I was there. And that's got to say something. I feel energies. I really do. And that energetic feeling you get, you know, you walk into a room and the couple have been fighting and you can cut the air like a knife. You know, you can feel the energy in places. I did not feel any negative energy from anyone the whole time I was in Palestine.
No, I mean, to be put through all that, there has to be an absolute amount of incredible strength and positivity amongst the people.
Oh, look, did you hear a phone call that I made with my friend Omar the other day? He was being bombed and I broke down in tears and he comforted me, told me to be strong. Hey, Max, I should be the one crying. What are you doing? Come on, Max, be strong. And he was laughing and joking to me. This guy, you can hear the bombs going off around him in the phone call. And the guy, and I'm breaking down and he's comforting me. Oh man, the strength and resilience of these people. These are so beautiful, these people. The strength of them, the power and the strength of their hearts is so commendable. These people should be a shining example for the world, the Palestinian people. They are beautiful people and they are strong, good-hearted people. They really are, and they are living in a living hell at the hands of one of the most brutal terrorist regimes that's ever been created, and that's what Israel is.
Absolutely, you're dead right. Listen, Hilary Whitehead has just put a notice into the chat room to say that there is a national demonstration, this is in the UK now, for Gaza and a free Palestine in London on Saturday, and they're all assembling at Downing Street at 12 noon. So I just thought I'd put that out there.
I hope so. I hope so. We've got to make noise about this. And thank you to all the people out there in the world who are making noise about this. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We need to do this. We need to really push this. This is a huge opportunity for the human race to wake up to itself. And the Palestinian people are providing us the opportunity to do it. Don't let their suffering be for nothing, please. And thank you all for participating.
Mahatma Coate says the Ariel Sharon administration founded Hamas to co-opt the PLO.
Absolutely, they founded Hamas to combat Fatah. They couldn't get Arafat out of power, so they needed to create another political party so that there was competition for Arafat. That's Israel. It was a complete Israeli creation, Hamas.
That's amazing, isn't it? And the thing is, that the media, that the governments all around the world are into this, does that not say that they are all psychopathic?
It does. I've been saying that for weeks, mate. That's what I've been saying. Call them all out. They're all criminals. That's it. Buck's got to stop. Stop being politically correct. Point them out and call them for what they are.
Absolutely. And anyone given an opportunity, I mean, basically, because those media hacks are out there sticking microphones into people's faces at celebrity get-togethers and all that type of stuff. that's when you can actually, speak your mind on live TV or live radio whenever the opportunity arises. I think anyone listening that gets themselves into that lucky position, and believe it or not, that can happen lots to various people. Say it as it is, tell it as it is, say how embarrassed we are as individual human beings to have these psychopaths in control of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And name it for what it is. Yeah, whenever you mention the word Israel, you should mention ethnic cleansing and genocide along with the word. You really should put the truth in people's faces.
Yeah, absolutely, because that is what it is. It's genocide. And if something like this was happening in their country, if half of their country had been given to another misplaced, displaced, whoever they may be, and then suddenly they became a power to overthrow, to keep repressed, to bomb and kill and maim and rape the rest of the country, it's just unbelievable. That's the sort of thing that needs to be put into people's psyche, that is what's going on.
Yeah, they do. They really do. I mean, but like all you've got to do is look at a map of Israel. Look at a map of it. There's a map out there, and you can just Google Palestinian land loss. Just Google that, Google images, and you'll see a map of what it's become, what it looked like when they divided it. And look at the division they made. It was completely ridiculous. There's no way this would work. And then it became what it is today. And there's just little tiny specks left of Palestine. And yet Israel's been screaming victim for the whole time. They've been there 60 years saying victim, 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 while they've stolen an entire country and displaced all of the people that live there. Just push them all out into other countries, push them all out over the borders, get them all out of Israel, get them all out of Palestine and turn it into Israel. That's what Zionism is. Zionism is basically the belief that Palestine should be Israel. That's what the Zionist political movement is. And it's a political ideology. But I can really sum Zionism up in a much more concise manner. What Zionism actually is it's a mental disease, it's a psychic pathogen that causes otherwise normal people to turn into sociopaths who believe that they are better than everybody else and they have a right to steal countries and kill anybody who gets in their way. That's what Zionism is. It's a mental disease, and people who have Zionism should be locked up in psych wards and rehabilitated back to the human race.
If only people running those psych wards weren't psychos themselves, yes.
Yeah, I think it's an infection. Zionism is a psychic infection, a mental pathogen that causes people to become deranged sociopaths.
So people like the British monarchy and the Vatican City.
Well, they're infected. They're infected with a psychic pathogen, which turns them into psychopathic morons called Zionists.
Yeah, I mean, you heard Gerald Kaufman at the beginning of that speech he did in Parliament in England. He said, "I am a Zionist Jew."
Well, he's a sick man. He's a very, very sick man. This is a mental problem. This is what's wrong with the world,
Yeah, even though he spoke the truth about them being war criminals and fools.
Yeah, it's interesting that he would say that. I'm a Zionist, I believe that Israel should steal Palestine, but now I'm complaining about Israel stealing Palestine. Oh, they're killing people while they're doing it. That's not good. Well, how else are they going to do it?
Yeah, it's very strange. People are just going to
Zionism. I mean, it's just like I said. It's a disease. It's a mental disease. We need some sort of an antidote for it. If only there was an injection people could have which would cure them of this infection.
Yeah, Max, you were involved with the school over there. How's that going?
I don't know, mate. It's probably been blown up by now. I mean, that was a school room that we built for the Samuni family. There was actually we built it in the room where the Samuni family was massacred. There was a building. They hoarded 97 members of the Samuni family into a building, and they blew it up with rockets. This was back in 2008, 2009. The Samuni family massacre is one of the worst massacres in the history of Palestine, really. 29 family members killed in one go. And very, very deliberately, they got the whole family, the whole extended family, and they hoarded them all into one building, virtually except for one woman, Zanad Samuni, one woman and her 4-year-old son. I called him a name. He was a 2-year-old son on an interview yesterday. I forgot. He was 4. I had the age wrong. But like I said, I've been very lacking in sleep lately. But Zanad Samuni and her 4-year-old son, Ahmed, were virtually the only two people who weren't in the room. 97 family members in this room being held there by Israeli soldiers to keep them safe, in inverted commas. And then Israel hit the room with 2 rockets. So it killed 29 family members, left the rest of the people there in the rubble for 4 days before they would allow ambulances through. Any of
Really?
the, they left them lying in the rubble, all these children. They'd secured the whole area. They were on top of the buildings in the whole Samuni land. It's on, the street is called Samuni Street. It's their land. The street goes through the middle of it. They were on the buildings all around Samuni Street, and they had guns trained on the rubble where the children were trapped, and the family was trapped. And if any of them would come out waving white flags, they'd shoot at them. They left them there for 4 days before they would allow ambulances in. Poor Zanat was wandering around with her son, 4-year-old son Ahmed, who had been shot twice in the chest and once in the head by Israeli soldiers, and he wasn't dead. It took him a day and a half to die while she was wandering around with him in her arms looking for medical help, but they wouldn't allow her to get any medical help. She'd walk up to an ambulance and they'd blow the ambulance up, stuff like this. So absolutely brutal. And what they did before then as well, I mean, they killed the father in front of the family. They packed all the people into a room, the whole family into a room, and lit a bonfire in the room, and then went outside and shot into the room with machine guns right over the heads of the people while they were in there, forced to stay in this room with this bonfire, and they're all choking from the smoke. And also, like, it's a huge long story, but the brutal treatment that was meted out to this family, and the torture that this woman was put through for 4 days, not being able to rescue her children, knowing that they're there trapped right in front of her. And she's walking around with this dead baby in her arms. They've got a tank there pointing its turret at her, following her wherever she goes. Brutal, absolutely brutal, inhumane, terrorist treatment. And like the way they treated these people was purely for terrorist reasons. They wanted to instill maximum terror and maximum fear into this family. And this is just one family that we know about. There are thousands of families that put up with the same treatment from these Israeli terrorists whenever they go in there, and they are terrorists. The IDF is not a defense force, it's a terrorist organization. Israel does not defend itself against anything. It's an aggressive nation, it's an invading nation, it's an occupying force that has been carrying out aggression on its neighbors ever since it illegally took over a country. It's not a defense force, it's a terrorist and aggressive organization. That's the IDF.
Yeah, no, it's awful. You know, we are so lucky, you know, to live in the Western world and to not have to put up with this sort of situation, even though we are being, you know, genetically modified by foods and all the rest of it, and being poisoned and all, and that's again psychopathy. But you're coming to Europe, Max. Would you tell us a bit about your plans?
Well, I've got to go and do the Boom Festival, and I'll be speaking there. And then I've got some dates in England. I'm going to try to get over to Ireland. I've got about 3 weeks where I'm going to be sort of kicking around the UK. So,
Okay. What, 3 weeks without any events or speaking?
Well, there's a gig at Lewis. There's a talk at Lewis. I think it's about the 5th or 6th of September. I'm actually arriving in the UK around about the 11th or 12th of August.
Okay.
And I think there's going to be a gig down in Cornwall. I think they want me to go and speak down there. And I know there's one at Lewis.
That's very interesting, because I was actually talking to a good friend of mine, and I asked him to come on my show next week to sit in for me as host, because I'm not available. I'm going to be abroad, and it's Graham Hart, and Graham is the contact you have in Cornwall.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, he's apparently organising a talk for me in Cornwall. And I think there might be something else at Glastonbury. I mean, I don't know. There's be a few things that happen in England.
The reason why I'm mentioning it, Max, is because we're thinking and trying to organise at the moment a People's Internet Radio Roadshow, where we're actually, you know, because not everyone comes on the internet, and we want to get the word out about what's happening, not just in Palestine, but you know, global and local issues. And we're thinking of we're putting together a tour route of Ireland to do this, and I've got people interested in putting on venues in Donegal, in Castlebar, in Sligo, in Galway, Cork, Clare. You know, that's quite a few events that we might be going out there and doing our stuff, trying to bring the information to more and more people. If the dates tally and you're around,
I'd be happy to come and do a talk, mate. Absolutely. But I think there's some up in Scotland wants me to. I was with some guys, speaking to some guys on the radio yesterday, and they were talking about getting me up to Scotland to talk up there. I mean, I don't know. I've got 3 weeks, so a lot can be accomplished in 3 weeks. I'm happy. I'll speak every night. I'll go hard. I don't care. I don't need any time off. I'm good. I've got to speak in Berlin, I think, on the 13th of September, 12th or 13th of September, something like that. So somewhere between like I said, I've got to be in Lewis on the 6th, the 5th or 6th. I want to go to Croatia at some stage and catch up with Rick Simpson while I'm in the area, because it's kind of really cheap to get to Croatia. So I'll be around the area. I'll be around the area from 2nd of August until August or September 22nd. I've got to speak in Copenhagen on September the 20th. And then I've got to fly out on the 22nd. I get home on the 24th, and I've got to speak in Sydney on the 26th. That's kind of interesting. I'll be very jet lagged for that one.
Yeah, and Frankie Max will be not being very politically correct at these talks.
No, that one, the talk in Sydney is actually to a group of business entrepreneurs and stuff. So it's not a conspiracy group at all. It's business people and entrepreneurial people who don't know anything about any of this information.
Right.
I like doing those gigs because they're the people who need the information. I did one in Sydney about a month ago, or 2 months ago. I was speaking to a room full of business entrepreneurs. Only 2 people in the room had ever heard of me. There was about, I don't know, 90, 120 people or something in the room. Yeah. Only 2 of them have ever heard of me, and not only heard of me, they hadn't heard any of my stuff. So the information was completely new to all of them. And they were all business type people, and it absolutely blew their minds. And I got like virtually a standing ovation at the end of the talk.
And so you should. These people just don't come across this type of information because
no, they don't, and they're the ones who need it. So that's why I'm so prepared to come back from Copenhagen. Do the it's like it's going to take 2 days for me to get back, almost from Copenhagen just to do this talk, and then I'll probably virtually straight after the talk, if the situation's stable, I'll fly directly to Cairo and go into Gaza for October.
Wow, yeah. Well, listen, good luck with all that. And even if our paths don't cross, we're sending loads and loads of love from Ireland. Actually, Vibe, she's actually left the chat room. Something must have come up, or her phone went off or something. But she says in a private message to me, please give Max all our love. Tell him it's about time he got his Tic Tacs out.
Yeah, well.
There you go.
Well, I kind of have, mate. I've been calm. I've been polite. I've been eloquent. I've spent 6 years trying to calmly and politely suggest to people that maybe they should wake up and pay attention to the world around them. And I can't be calm and polite and politically correct anymore. Things are getting desperate. Things are getting serious. And if we don't wake up, then it's going to be all over. And you've got to pay attention to what's going on in Palestine, because this is coming to your country. This is coming to a country near you. This is the way they do it. This is the way they discard populations. Once they've established themselves properly and this control grid comes down, this is the type of treatment that will be meted out to anybody who resists this coming global government. And we need to pay attention to this. Because like I said, and like I continue to say, the way of Palestine will be the way of the world. And what Palestine is providing for us is an opportunity to nip it in the bud before it happens. But we have to pay attention, and we've got to choose to participate. So now's the time, folks. Get off your ass and let's fix this problem.
Absolutely. And I think we should be getting regular updates on all alternative media. And at some stage, maybe we can step in there and be the new mainstream media, because it's really, really needed that people are getting the truth. Like you said, a room full of business people, over 100 people, and only 2 of them had actually heard of you and not even what you were talking about. So, and then once they did hear you, as you say, they listened, they were gobsmacked, and they gave you the standing ovation, because that's really when the truth comes to people. They can smell it, they can feel it, they can hear it, and they can then live it and go on and tell other people.
Yeah, well, absolutely. That's what we've got to do, brother. The gloves have got to come off. They really do. Now's the time. Now's the time for us to all stand up and make a difference. And that's what, like I said, it's the opportunity it's giving us to do so. So we've got to seize that. We've got to do this, Sean. We absolutely have to change things.
Absolutely. Now, uniquely, harking back to your tour of Europe, he says he's not far from Lewis, remind me in September. Sean, it'll be in the zoo, probably Phoenix Way. Do you
Yeah,
can
Zoo
you?
Studios. It'll be Zoo Studios at Lewis. Be the fifth or
Yes.
sixth. That's it. I've just reminded you. That's the only reminder you're going to get. I
No,
won't
that's
be
good.
on. I'm not going to be online and be able to update things. I'm not going to be. So when I'm out traveling, I'll be out traveling. But I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff in Europe. I've got
Yeah.
Portugal. Then I've got the UK. I'll be doing Ireland. I'll be doing Scotland. I've got Germany, Croatia, Spain, Amsterdam, and Denmark are the places that I'll be.
Okay. Well, look,
So I'm
sending
open
a
for talks. So I'll probably try to get to France as well to catch up with Chris Everard and a few people in France while I'm
yeah.
there. So everything's really local when you're in Europe. I mean, I'm from Australia, so when you get to Europe, everything's local. Everything's right next door. There's just it's like nothing, you know. When I was in
Yeah.
England and I said to Ken, let's go to Gaza. I mean, how often am I going to be this close to Gaza? It's just there. And he went, what do you mean close? It's like down in Egypt. And I'm like, well, I'm from Australia, mate. Takes 5.5 hours to fly across the country. It only takes me 4 hours to fly to Egypt, you know, from England. So it's closer to Egypt from London than it is from Brisbane to Western Australia.
Yeah.
So, you know, Australia is a
Well,
big
look.
place. Everything's local when I'm in Europe. So I have no problem going anywhere in Europe.
No, well, listen, Max. I mean, I know you're going to be busy. I know you're going to be on the road, but if you can drop us even a Skype message or an email to tell us where you'll be and all the rest of it, we'll definitely put it out there and let people know that you're doing what you're doing. You know.
Oh, you'll get me on Skype, but you won't get many updates to the website, and I probably won't be on Facebook or any of that sort of stuff. There's no point me going on Facebook now anyway. They limit all the posts that I do. Facebook is so controlled now.
It
I
is.
post
It
something
is.
on Facebook, it doesn't get shared. They repress it. Half my messages I don't get. I look at my news feed on Facebook, and bear in mind I've got 5,000 friends on Facebook. I look at my news feed. Apparently, the last time anybody that I know posted anything was 2 days ago. You know,
Wow.
so I
It's
just
incredible.
don't get information, mate. You know.
Well, if there's any of those that you think might be shills or anything, get rid of them and ban them because I've been trying to friend you for ages and you've got too many friends.
Yeah, well, I got two accounts. I got 5,000 friends on each account, but
Yeah, I know.
they limit everything. They limit everything that I do. So it was a good way to spread information for a while, Facebook, which was the only reason I used it. And
Yeah, it has been a good tool. Yeah.
I still do that, but I'll have to get into Twitter or something. But I've never looked at Twitter. I don't know how to use it. I don't know what it's for. People say, oh, it's a way to spread information. I don't know. It shits me because I go there and I want to look at it, but I can't. You've got to sign up to look at the page. Well, fuck you. I want to see what I'm signing up for, but I can't look at it until I sign up for it. So fuck it, I'm not signing up for it.
Well, I was forced onto Twitter, and believe me, it's nearly impossible to read everybody's posts. But I do get the word out there, and when I go on Twitter and
I
put
just
my
don't want to
information.
have to. Why do I have to sign up for something in order to look at what I'm signing up for? I'd like to look at what I'm signing up for before I sign up for it, please, so I know what I'm signing up for. It makes
Absolutely.
sense to me. I get to a page and all I got is a sign up page. Well, hang on, what am I signing up for? They don't tell me. So that was it. I looked at it about 5 years ago. Went, nah, I'm not signing up for whatever it is. I can't look at it first. And someone said, oh, no, you need to re-look at Twitter. So I looked at it today and went, well, I can't because I can't sign up for it, you know. I have to
Yeah,
sign up for it to look at it. So what's the point of looking at the damn thing? You know.
yeah.
Anyway, that's
And it
just
is a
my attitude.
strange thing.
Maybe it's a bad attitude, but I'm short of temper at the moment. So, you know.
Well, I tell you what, I know you're tired, and I know that you've been up since 6 a.m. For the show, and thank you so much for that. Do you want to
Sitting
hear a
up
poem?
since 4:30 a.m., Sean. Actually,
Oh,
I had the alarm. I thought it was 8:30 or 9 o'clock. The show was. I set my alarm for 8:30 or 7:30, and got up at 4:30 because I can't sleep. And you messaged me and said, "Oh, 5 minutes." And I thought, "Gee, good thing I've got insomnia." You know.
well, good thing for all of us that you have, and sorry that it was under such circumstances that the lack of sleep is probably with the trauma of what's going on with your buddies over in Palestine and the connections you have, as I say, more than most.
Yeah, I don't need sleep, mate. I can function on air alone.
You're a breatharian.
Yeah, breatharian, mate. That's
Yeah,
me.
that's it. Look, yeah, you haven't really done it before on my show. At least I don't think so. But you know, I'm a performing poet, and I didn't really want a radio show, to be honest. But you know what? I think it's about time you heard the poem from my book. What do you think?
Fine.
Okay, so I want you to pick a number between 10 and 90, Max, and I'll read you the page, whatever it is.
God, you're going to do that to me, are you?
Yeah,
Okay,
bit of
50,
numerology.
56.
56. Okay, I'm going to go to page 56.
You didn't expect that one, did you?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. You didn't expect that number.
Oh, well, actually, I didn't know what number, and I don't mind. This one is called Numbers, and it goes like this. Tied to a job to make ends meet, lost in a world where it's money you eat, and it's bloody well hard to admit defeat. The working man's days are numbered. The spirit is threatened as is the will to survive. Never have you felt this dead yet still alive, and the weekend is the only freedom to arrive. The working man's days are numbered. The only luxury is the comfort of an IOU. You want to enjoy life, but the bills are still due. There must be a way out, but you haven't a clue. The working man's days are still numbered. Look for the gift that hides deep within. It's the answer to your problems where your life will begin, and it's free, and it's yours, not like original sin. The working man's days, they're just numbers. There you go.
That's
So
a
a little
good poem,
poem.
brother. Good
Thank you
poem.
very much. Thank you. Not as political as most of my ones are, but I tell you what, we are working in a different way altogether. Anyone who is, I suppose, volunteering, because that's what we're doing, getting out there, trying to get the information out there, is, needs support. We here, in People's Internet Radio, we're actually trying to branch out now, and for the first time, because we're growing and more people want to listen to us, for us to be able to afford to be on the internet and putting the radio out. We've been, for the last 5 years, TNS, MSI, PIR has been depending on donations from fantastic listeners. But we're going to actually go out there and try and get a few ethical Irish local advertisers and sponsors. That's what we're going to do. I think that's the next step for us to get even bigger.
Well, yeah, you got to do stuff sometimes. I mean, I've got to do it. I mean, I ask for donations and things, and I do what I can. But I give, I pay my rent with my donations and stuff like this. But if I've got any spare, I give it away. I give so much away to people. I give DVDs away to people. I make oil and give it to people. I made some oil for cancer, like $800 worth of oil I gave to someone the other day, which leaves me with nothing and leaves me with no money, but it curing someone of cancer, these sorts of things. I give away so much of what I have and what I get. I live in a tin shed. I live in a little tin shed with no hot water. So I live a very humble life. And I give all that I can to people. And I couldn't do what I do if it wasn't for donations. I couldn't research. I couldn't spend my time doing what I do. I couldn't reach the people that I reach. And exactly. So, and I do it all for nothing. I give it all. But I firmly believe that if I give to the universe, and if I give to the world will give me back enough to enable me to continue what I do and to be able to continue on my mission. And that's what I don't want wealth or anything. I wouldn't know what to do with it if I had wealth. I wouldn't know what to spend it on.
Yeah. No, I think that it's admirable, and I think that we're all really in that same position. I mean, we're all volunteers here on People's Internet Radio. Every host that hosts a show from whatever subject matter. I mean, just to let you all know that Super Big Bad Man's going to be on later with Cancel Cabal, so stick around after 12 o'clock. Max, I know that you're tired. Even the yawning gives it away slightly. Thank you so much for coming on Out of the Bag again, and keep us informed on what's going on, and don't be a stranger to us. Good luck with all your travels, and let's hope that by the time it comes to October, you will be ensconced in Gaza, giving the world the truth about what's going on there on a daily basis.
Well, I hope so, mate. I really hope so. I don't plan on staying there for a year when I go in October. I just want to go and have a look. I've got to come back and finish the film, but I plan to be living in Gaza by the end of 2015. I don't know how long it'll take me to finish and put together all the footage I'm bringing back and get this film finished and get it out there. But I want to take a break from it in the meantime and go and just check up on my friends in Gaza. Anyway, after this latest blitz, we should all go to Gaza. When the fighting dies down, if you've ever had a thought for the Palestinian people, go to Gaza and have a look yourself. Come and help us rebuild, help us get the water flowing again, help us with these people. These people are going to be devastated after this latest incursion. 900 homes destroyed minimum, water system not working, so much going wrong now, so much desperation, and they need help. So if you've ever thought about it, anybody out there, please go to Gaza. Please go and help Palestine. Do not forget. Please remember Palestine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, not everybody can do that. Not everybody can physically do it. Not everybody can financially do it. But you know what? There are people that can, and those that can should. Most definitely.
They should. They really should. It's not hard to get there. It's not expensive from England or anything like that. It's just down off the side of Egypt there. It's not very far. You can do it, you know. You can drive there from Europe. I mean, you can drive. You can get there almost. You just got to catch the ferry across from Tunisia. I mean, you can almost drive there, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to let you go, Max, and I wish you so much luck and love, and you're doing a great job, and we want you to keep it up. And I know it's been a passionate and traumatic time with what's going on since those 3 kidnapped boys was put out to the mainstream media as a reason to step up the genocide in that poor country. It's really, really shameful, nasty, despicable acts that are taking place on a daily basis. So, hey, 6 hours of a cool off on Thursday, that'll help, won't it?
Yeah, well, I hope it continues after that. I really do. I mean, 6 hours. We're going to have 6 hours. Well, it's even sociopathic to say that. Oh, we're going to have 6 hours of peace. Then we'll start killing people again, you know. But it's all good, 6 hours of peace. I mean, what do you even think of that sort of stuff, you know?
It's hilarious, isn't it? I mean, if it wasn't so dramatic,
it's ludicrous.
horrible, it's a joke, yeah.
It's ludicrous, mate. But look, thanks for having me on and giving me the opportunity to give this information to the people. Sorry for my attitude, my swearing, and my emotions. I just, you know...
Don't be apologising.
I feel like I've been banging my head against the wall for years, and I just can't hold back anymore. I just feel like screaming from the rooftops about this issue. So thank you for putting up with it.
Well, listen, you get yourself a nice rest, and I want to thank you so much for coming on Out of the Bag. Keep up the great work. We love you loads, and loads of people have been saying the same things to us to pass on to you, Max. Good luck with it all, and I'm going to actually start put a tune on and say goodbye to you, Max. And this is a song by our next guest, Sorrel May Florence, and it's called In a Burying Ground. I'm wondering maybe if it's hopefully it's not a burying ground anymore for a lot of people, for no reason other than some psychopath is bombing your home. Max, Igan, thank you so much.
Thanks, Sean. Bye-bye.
Bye now.